Hey, everybody. More of the life and times of George Washington. By 1778, George Washington was no longer the only voice that was shaping strategy during the war. Decisions were now moving through different layers. You had Congress, you had the state governments, and you had allied commanders, and then military councils that were convened. So the authority was shared, and in the process, it was slowed. Washington could propose plans, he could argue for timing, location, and restraint, but approval of any of that required agreement. French commanders had their priorities were all set by France. And Congress then debated the costs of the exercises and the political consequences. The state leaders guarded their own interests, and so the result was often compromise. You had plans that would just stretch out over weeks. Then on top of that, opportunities would close while they were trying to create consensus. And so Washington adjusted again. He would convene councils of war more often. He continued listening carefully, and he would document any objections. And this wasn't because he lacked judgment. It was because unilateral action was no longer possible now with the alliance between the states and France. So this really frustrated officers in his command because they wanted clarity of purpose. And it frustrated the Allies who expected faster movement. And it also frustrated Washington. But he did accept the reality because the cause, the revolution, was not, a monarchy. It was a coalition. And so leadership, well, it had to mean coordination and not just, firm command. So decisions did emerge slowly, and they were shaped by negotiation rather than, unilateral certainty. Sometimes this did, prevent disaster, but other times it meant watching opportunities. It meant watching chances fade away. And so Washington carried the responsibility even when the control was diluted. And so if a plan failed, the blame wasn't dispersed out amongst, the partners in the compromise, right? It landed squarely on Washington. And so as strategy became more of a committee kind of process, Washington was learning that leadership in a republic would mean, owning outcomes without owning every decision, without navigating delay, dissent, and shared authority as, well, this was all the price of continuing the war within the alliance.